Oh, hi all. I just wanted to give some advice to people regarding their house insurance, in fact, all their insurance policies. You may or may not have noticed, I've thankfully never had to make a claim through an insurance company, but, well, one, which went okay because I was helped by an insurance assessor. But for most people, insurance policies are taken out just, if anything happens, at least I'll be covered. But as we know from that, and from what I understand, is a lot of the insurance companies have a policy where they just ignore you and tell you that you're not covered for it, and then it comes a fight, and then everything just swings around. I mean, it's the insurance companies in Ireland could be considered as their own form of mafia, self-regulation for what it is. Anyway, here's a word of advice for you. The house insurance policies that are available now, in most cases, are legal requirement over the mortgage, especially if you have a mortgage. People are not looking carefully enough, in my opinion, at this. They think if they have a house insurance policy for 6 million, that if anything happens to their house, the insurance company will pay them out anything up to 6 million. This is not true. This is not true. The function of an insurance policy is to put you back into the place that you were in before the incident happened. So if your house is valued at market value of, say, let's say 450,000, and it burns down, you're not going to get the market value. What you're going to get is the rebuilding costs. The rebuilding costs could be 2/3 of that or a half of that. So don't be confused by this. Very recently, I had to I had to renew my own house insurance policy, and I found something very helpful. The Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland have the sesi.ie website has a calculator on it where you can actually go in and put in the details of your house, and it will give you the rebuilding costs that you should be insured for. And it could be quite an eye-opener to people who may be over-insured, and I think a lot of people are. If you go into that website, so my policy is to go into that website, calculate what the rebuilding costs of my house are before I take out the insurance policy for the year. I then download that, PDF it, and keep it as evidence. Because if something unfortunately does happen to my house in 6 months' time, 6 months into the insurance policy, and the insurance company says, well, your house wasn't worth that much and the rebuilding costs are half of what they are, I can simply just produce that PDF from the Society of Chartered Surveyors in Ireland, who are a professional body, and the insurance companies aren't in a position to argue with professional bodies like that. So if you have the PDF and the PDF document is telling you that they have calculated that your house has a rebuild cost of 320,000, and you insure yourself just to be on the safe side for 350,000 or 360,000, that's your ass is then covered. Because if anything, like I said, if anything happens to your house in the meantime and it burns down to the ground, they will be looking at that. And the other thing I would ask you to consider as well is the contents insurance is outrageously expensive. I don't bother getting it because I just have a couple of grand saved, and if anything happens to my house, I need a bed and probably a couple of little bits to keep myself going for the few months. I'm fairly minimalist, but the lowest amount that you can get is 15,000, and you have to ask yourself, do your contents actually cost that much to replace what you need? Do you need 15,000 contents insurance? I would remove that. It usually makes a big deal out of that. But on the same with the car insurance as well. Don't forget, you do have health insurance in place, whether you're on a medical card or not. Your health insurance through your office, if you're unfortunate enough to be in a car crash, and you make sure that the health insurance doesn't cover that, because a lot of people are over-insured, doubly insured. They've got 3 or 4 policies covering the same thing, thinking all the policies will pay out. They won't pay out. So for things like your car insurance, just make sure that you're insured to the appropriate amount. My policy on insurance policies is generally just to have what I'm legally required to have. And secondly, I just have, like I said, whatever I'm legally required to have, and just have a basic, just have what you need. The mortgage document tells you that you need to have house insurance in place, which is fine, but you should have house insurance anyway, even if you don't have a mortgage. But the legal requirement for car insurance is third-party fire and theft, and traditionally that's just what I've gotten. I'm not in the habit of getting into difficulty on the road, so I feel quite confident with that. But just have a look at your insurance policies and see what you can get rid of, because when I reviewed this about 10 years ago, I was doubly insured on a lot of stuff. So I was able to save myself a couple of €100 a month with what I got rid of, and still had the legal requirements for what I needed, and then maybe just put 1 or 2 on top of them. But just be careful about what you're insuring yourself for, because your policy is not going to give you what you're insured for. They're going to put you back into the position that you were in before the incident occurred. So yeah, just have a look at that. But like I said, the SCSI website, the Society for Chartered Surveyors in Ireland, scsi.ie website, go in, calculate that, keep a copy of the PDF that you have alongside with the insurance policy. Make sure that you keep it so you'll have something to back yourself up with, because the insurance companies won't dare argue with a professional body like the chartered surveyors. They just won't argue with them, and it's going to be all you need. All right, good luck with that.